Hi everyone, this is Nadia, Jake, Buddy, and Sedona, and Babu is eating downstairs. Today we're going to talk about the season finale of Loki and a little bit overview of the season. Really good work on character development for Loki and Sylvie.
Where is the character work in this room with us right now?
Why don't you talk to us about the lack thereof?
No, you tell me. I'm sorry, I'm being rude. Tell me about the brilliant character work that occurred this season.
The brilliant character work, I wouldn't call it brilliant, but I do like the fact that Loki has to kind of change his ways. I know that we saw a lot of that in the first season where he went from like being selfish to actually caring for other people, especially when he fell in love with Sylvie. I think this season, it focuses less on the love relationship, his love life, but more so the economy of the timeline, how that impacts other people. Like different branches are growing, and what does that mean? What does Loki have to do to overcome his fears and at the same time use his gifts to not for selfish act, but to actually help other people, even if it means sacrificing something for himself. And that's where I see the character development for Loki. For Sylvie, character development is in the sense of like, I guess she's like similar, but she went from being really ambitious in the first season to being very chill in the second season.
It's a burnout.
Yeah, she didn't really have a lot of like, active choices. She was more so, yeah, I've done all the work. It's kind of like I was Michael Jordan, I scored the best. I retired for a reason. Like I'm in retirement, I'm not like, I don't really have that passion of the youngins. Kind of like that. That's the vibe that you get from her.
Why does it sound like we're talking about two different shows? I don't know what show you watched. This season shouldn't even been called Loki. I like the first season of Loki. This season should have been called the TVA because that's what it was all about. All they were talking about was TVA. It happened, but the first season was about Loki and his character growth and stuff. This was just like Loki running around trying to grab things that the next plot point, just grabbing the next MacGuffin and chasing after things and going, what's going on? It really felt like they were just kind of like running without any idea of where this was going to lead.
I completely disagree with that.
There was even a scene in the second to last episode where it felt like the writers themselves were going, okay, what does Loki want? Because they're literally, Loki's sitting there in a bar with Sylvie. He's going, I want to do this. I want to save the TVA. And Sylvie's going, no, what do you actually want? I want this. No, what do you actually want? It's like the writers were going, what is Loki's motivation at this point, right? Because it's like, and then he goes, I want to be with my friends.
I think that is more so Loki.
Like, what? Who is this Loki? He's like, oh, I love my friends. That's why I have to destroy.
No, I think he's like, it's that those kind of scenes are for because Loki has this mask on a lot of times about what he portrays himself to be and what he thinks he wants, but really what he wants underneath is something different. So I think like those kind of question is him trying to unpeel his own onion so that he can understand, it's not as teary as I thought it was going to be. And then we get to the ending that we got into.
I feel like it was just sort of half-assed a little bit. Like I can see like eventually they were trying to go what they wanted to go for, but so much of the season was just running after. It was confusing. Like, how am I watching a season of Disney Plus, like Marvel show, and I'm going like, what are the stakes here? What is going on? Like,
I will say the first couple episodes was a little confusing.
I lost all sense of stakes and care in what was going to happen. I was like, all right, whatever is going on is going on. It kind of got interesting again in the last episode, but then it just became clear that they were going in one direction and it was like treading water the entire second season, which was pretty short season, but it felt like we were treading water to get to this conclusion that they had decided was going to be it, and then trying to make the characters fit into this direction. But it really wasn't so much about the characters as it was about saving the institution of the TVA, an institution I don't give a shit about. What does any of this matter? And then it just felt like so convoluted and messy, and I lost all care about Loki and Sylvie's relationship, which it felt like there was nothing going on between him and Sylvie, nothing developed between him and Sylvie really beyond the first season. It felt like just the same stuff from the first season, not even there, because it was all focused on TVA and saving the timelines, and I don't care about the time. Why should I care about the timelines?
Can I tell you why?
Why?
Because the timeline, the different branches of choices that's happening, that's growing, that's deviating from the path that He Who Remains chose, those timelines were getting erased. And that's why you care about TVA.
Why do I care about the timelines being erased?
Because those people are dying.
These imaginary people in a show that
oh my God, that's like all shows.
Okay, they could multiple times in the show they said this is sad because people are dying. They're looking at a thing of like a computer screen with things going. It's like, this is so sad. Those are people. It's like, well, you got to give me a reason to care about the people. Like, you got to give me a reason for the stakes to matter. Like, you can't just in a TV show be like, the world will end. And it's like, those are big stakes. Those are massive stakes. But it's like, you got to give us a way to understand. You got to give us characters in those timelines to care about. Like, we're telling you this is important without actually showing you the stakes of why it matters.
I think they did that. I think you just missed it. And I love how you said these imaginary people as if we're like... Yeah, no, unless you're watching a documentary, they are imaginary
No, because
people.
I'm saying, like, I care about Loki. I care about Sylvie. Timelines that are supposedly supposed to, like, the fact that they're dying off is supposed to be really bad. And I'm going like, okay, but, like, why? Like, what does this have to do with the characters I care about? You're supposed to care about it, but they're telling you to care about it, but you don't actually care about it. Like, I just felt so unengaged. I was at some point, I'm just like, what does this matter to like the overall universe? What does this matter to Loki and Sylvie's relationship? Like, where is this heading? And it just felt like the entire time they're going, ooh, just wait until we reveal, and there's going to be a big payoff, and once we get to the payoff, it's going to matter to the wider universe. So it just felt like teasing us the whole time. Like, how does any of this matter? Where does this fit in? Like, let's just get to what you're trying to do here. And then when we got there, it was just kind of like, oh yeah, I kind of saw that coming. What does it matter still? I don't know. Like, how does this connect to the bigger universe? I don't really know or care. What does this have to do? Like, I get that it kind of pays off Loki's character in a way that I wasn't expecting, which cool. But also, like, they're trying to make it like this big thing. And I'm just kind of like, all right, what does this mean? I have no idea. It's so confusing. It makes no sense.
Can I explain the way I saw it?
Should we go into spoilers?
Yes, let's go into spoilers. Before we do that, what would you rate it?
It has style. Like, there's scenes in it that are like, there's style in the directing, and I like the aesthetics of the show. I always have. But it felt like the writing was like, it's like they had no idea where they were supposed to go. What did that matter? I thought Jonathan Majors acting as Victor Timely was so over the top. It was like cartoonish. I thought he was like legitimately bad in the show, which is funny because everyone talks about how great Jonathan Majors was. And I was like, he's making some acting choices in this show that's just like, what is going on? Like, it was it was a little much. And
I do agree with that, yeah.
It was like, and then we can get into spoilers, but I just gotta say, like, first episode, I was like, cool, this is fun, we're moving along. But then with the convoluted timeline stuff, with the time travel stuff, it just felt I needed to do homework. I just cared way more about these characters in the first season than the second season. So I gotta say, I'd give it like a 5 out of 10.
Would you recommend it still?
Not really. Like,
what?
Unless you're a Marvel fan and you're like, want to see everything that's connected to the wider universe.
Well, I'm a little biased because I love Loki. And I thought the Thor movies were extremely lacking since Loki left. I would give it 9 out of 10. And I would definitely recommend it with that rating.
Who is Loki anymore? Like, he bears no resemblance to
his original character. He's a god, you mortal.
But he used to be mischievous and fun and like a little
That's
sly.
Called character development.
Okay, but you can develop a character, but now he's just a bland protagonist who just like, I love my friends. I want my friends to be okay. And it's like, who is this character anymore? Like who is this guy? Like, why do I care about it? He's just another bland protagonist at the heart of a show. I feel like once he's brought back into the wider Marvel universe or whatever, and he's a side character, but I think he'll be more fun again. But like, again, like they took a fun, unique, interesting character from the movies, it put him into a show. The first season, he had some character growth. Second season, he's just like boring superhero.
Can we get into spoilers, or are you done ranting?
I'm sorry. I didn't realize I had this much pent up anger about this show.
And I had no idea. We watched the show together.
Yeah.
All right. 3, 2, 1, spoilers. I don't know what you're talking about. It's like we were watching two different shows.
That's what I'm saying. I don't know what show you
Loki at
like.
the end literally sacrifices, like, being with people that he actually came to love. Like, sacrifices his love life and becomes... I thought this was this was brilliant in writing. I thought it came in full circle. He came into the throne. He became basically the king of all, the god of all.
Is he? Like, what is he happening?
He's controlling the timeline.
He just grabbed some like spider webs and he's
Bobby. He's controlling all the timeline that were branches that would have been destroyed.
We're branching off that I don't even care about. Like these timelines dying. I don't know why that matters.
Because these people are dying. It's kind of like saying, why does anything matter? Oh, in Spider-Man, people are dying in a bridge. Why do I care? Why should I care about these people? It's like, I don't understand how to answer that question. It's like you care about it because it's a superhero Marvel stuff and you don't want innocent people to die just for existing.
When has Loki ever cared about saving
That's exactly
people?
What I mean about character development. He cares.
I get that what they're going for, but I think that the execution was not good. I feel
it was like great.
They didn't get us to care about like why he cares now all of a sudden. Like,
okay, you and I are going to be really different with this opinion. All right, he cares. He came like he slowly started to care for the people that he. You know, I think it started with Sylvie, but then into Morbius and then everything else. And I think...
You mean Mobius?
Mobius, sorry.
Morbius, if Morbius was in this, that'd be interesting.
And Mobius. And I think, like, he really ended up kind of, like, finding himself caring about these people. And I think that's shown in one of the episodes where after the timeline initially gets erased, the TBA gets erased, then he sees all these people in their TBA lifetimes. You know, Mobius has 2 kids, someone's dentist, whatever. And then so he realizes that he likes being part of this team, which is different because in the past, he was always like trying to be better like than Thor, right? He's never really been in a team where everyone is an equal. And he really finds himself an equal. I think Sylvie at first helped him get there. And I think his realization, everything, he kind of succeeded and surpassed Sylvie in a lot of ways, right? So I think his love for Sylvie in the beginning was a catalyst. It just ended up developing through his relationships. Now, I thought it was really funny because, like, for example, the last episode where he's like, how long is it going to take me to learn the technical aspect of TBA? Decades, centuries. And then goes centuries later.
I thought that was funny.
That was really funny. And then he knows all this stuff now. I think he really like shows like when you think about all this time and effort that he's put into it, he's never done that to save people. He's done that to rule people in the beginning, you know, before that. So I think these 2 seasons, when you put it together, it really shows character development in who Loki was before he was taken out of the timeline, or he took himself out of the timeline, you know, through when the Avengers went back in time, blah, blah, blah. And then who he is now. He is truly a god, and he always wanted to be a god to rule over people. He's arguably the highest form of god there is in this universe because he's controlling literally multi-universe and the branches from falling apart. Except he's not doing it for himself. He's doing it so that innocent people don't die off and people can make free will. So in a way, he's a god of free will.
All right,
which is very different than He Who Remains, because He Who Remains, if you were in a very linear path, and if you strayed away from that path, the TVA would pick you up, you would get pruned.
I understand.
Pruned.
But I understand that. I understand like what they're setting up. And I think that story after all this setup might be interesting. But the setup itself of making this all work somehow and trying to make it all fit together felt very messy. And because like, look, at the end of the first season, right, we have all these branching timelines all of a sudden. And it's supposed to be like this big deal. Second season, we're not really exploring the other timelines. We're not really seeing what's going on, why this really matters that we have a bunch of branching timelines all of a sudden, and now they're starting to get destroyed, so now we have to be like worried about it. Like, we just got these new timelines, now they're all destroying, and it's like, okay, cool, like this is really bad, we can't destroy it. Like, I literally, maybe this is my thing, like I just don't get, I feel like they weren't able to establish the stakes of how bad it's going to be if these timelines get destroyed. And in the end, it ultimately, we talked to Kang and he's like, oh, it's supposed to be destroyed anyways. And it's like, it feels like everything's just going back and forth of like, we need to do this, we need to do this, like this matters, this doesn't matter. I don't get what the timelines have to do with anything. I don't get why. I don't understand, like, Kang. I don't understand the TVA. I don't understand how he has a million variants and why that matters and why they have to destroy Kang. And the free will versus the choice to do whatever you want just didn't feel explored enough thematically. It just felt kind of like shoved in there. And then at the end, like, Loki's spending all this time, centuries, right, learning how to all this physics and everything. And then at the end, he's just like, oh, I know what I need to do. And he just walks out there with all the radiation or whatever, and he just like blows it up and then grabs the timelines with your hands. Like, oh, that's interesting. I didn't know you could just grab the timelines with your hands and bring it all together. And it just felt like, okay, we're doing all this time travel bullshit. We're all this like fake science bullshit.
Green. Yeah. Branches turn green because of his magic, so he applied his magic. But he talked to He Who Remains in the past.
It just felt like Deus Ex Machina, more. You know? It felt like all like, oh, well, this is just how we'll fix it. And it's like, felt like they had this idea of Loki doing this from the beginning, of becoming like this free will god or whatever. Is this just a setup for Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty? Like, okay, so this is setting up something that's going to actually matter later on, but this doesn't really matter. Like, Mobius and Loki's relationship just felt like kind of bland. Like, the new character, Ouroboros, like, I love that actor, but it felt like, what was he doing? And like, what does it matter now with him and with the other characters? Like, it felt like they were just breaking a million rules, trying to establish rules and then breaking them right after. So I'm going, okay, so what is going, like, what matters? What can you do? What can't you do? Then Loki's just jumping around in time for willy-nilly, and it's just like, okay,
it's what? So willy-nilly.
It's just like, what are the rules here? And then he realizes, like, oh, I can just control it if I try hard. And then it's like, now that he's a time god, he's just trying to save the TVA and then can't. And then, I'm sorry. I didn't buy it.
I don't think there's anything I can say to make you buy it, honey.
Sorry, that's my opinion. I'm glad you enjoyed the show.
I mean, I
there are good parts. High. There were good scenes. I like having Loki be like this ultimate god at the end. I just think the way they led up to it wasn't great.
I have the opposite opinion of you. Just like you say, there's some good parts, but overall there was a lot lacking. I think there were some things that were lacking, but overall it was really great.
We'll get through this, honey. We'll get through this.
It won't cause divorce.
Thank you for watching, everyone.
We didn't even talk about. Do you want to talk about any Obi?
Unless you want to.
No other character were good. I think this was enough.
I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching.
Let us know your opinion. We kind of had probably... Did we have the most heated argument here?
No.
We've had worse?
Probably. I don't know.
We're toxic.
All right. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Thank you for watching. Let us know what you think.
Yep.
Otherwise, yeah.
Have a good one.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.